Everybody. Today we're here with Christine De Pizan. We're gonna interview her, ask her a couple questions about who she is, where she's from, you know, what she did for work. So yeah. So I'm Sara.
I'm Howard.
And I'm Christine.
Okay. So to start off with, I wanted to ask you, who are you? Where did you work? Where do you come from? You know, things like that.
So I am a writer and intellectual based in France, but I am originally from Venice, Italy.
And why'd you move?
Because as a child, my father became an astrologer and physician under the French court of King Charles V.
When were you born?
I was born in the year 1364 during the late Middle Ages.
Also known as the Renaissance area, right?
This was a time of political turmoil and war in Europe.
What major events did you go through in your life?
So I went through a few, actually. I went through the Hundred Years' War, the Great Schism, and the death of Charles V. But I would say, more so, the one that was more impactful to me would be the death of Charles V during 1380, because when he died, everything kind of lost control. So there was an instability in France, which led to my family's being affected financially, in the sense that my father had been working under him at the time under the royal court, and he wasn't supported the same after that, since the next successor was too young, and that caused him to also lose influence as well. But I feel like one that gravely impacted me more so was my husband, who was working as a royal secretary, and a couple years later, like 9 years later, he ended up passing away as well, which left me a widow with 3 kids to handle by myself, handle them financially, which was super hard because, I'm by myself, and as well as having to go through a battle legally to get his salary for, me and my kids, my family.
I'm guessing it could have been hard back then, getting
Yeah.
little money, just you by yourself.
Yeah, actually, when we have different occupations, and when you have an occupation as important as working under the royal crown and stuff like that, when something like his death happens, it's a little hard to kind of regain your status and pick yourself back up financially.
She's a hardworking woman.
With 3 children too.
3 children.
Yeah.
It's because that was my inspiration, that was my motivation. My kids, once they lost their dad, we all lost a part in ourselves, but we had to make it work somehow. I wasn't going to leave my kids without a mother as well.
Preach, bro, preach.
Amen.
It must be easier for you youngins nowadays.
Question I have for you is, what are you most known for?
I am known for being an early feminist thinker.
Bro, when I catch that guy in periods, bro, I'm a feminist too. I got you.
Okay. Also, what was your shtick?
I'm sorry?
Like your special thing. What were you?
Oh, my special thing was defending women during a time where misogynistic ideals was very common. I don't know about you guys nowadays. I mean, hearing him say that is quite a shocker to me, because coming from my time, you wouldn't hear that.
I'm 6'2", a dreadhead, nonchalant.
I don't know what that is, but coming from my time, you would never really hear that. It was more of just like, we stick to our social norms and you don't get freedom,
Okay. What did people think of you?
A lot of people disagreed with my values and my beliefs and what I stood for and what I wrote about, because, as you know, I was one of the first writers to make a living as a writer, and especially as a woman, but I think there was a lot of people who tended to disagree, especially because I was challenging the negative portrayals of women in literature, and I was standing up for women's rights. And obviously there will always be people who disagree with you, but like I said, during my time, during my era, it was hard to get men to actually sit here and listen to you and agree with you and stuff. Now you guys have it a little easier, because now everybody is a little more open-minded. We have guys saying that he's gonna fight periods when he sees them and stuff like that. But yeah, seeing as my themes were mostly about justice, morality, and the roles of women in society, it was a little hard to get people to like me. But if I'm doing what's right, then I don't mind it at all.
What are some of your accomplishments and achievements?
Some of my achievements and accomplishments are based obviously on my writing. Like, one of my most famous works would be the Book of the City of Ladies, which was published in 1405, where I basically created an imaginary city full of great women in history to prove that they are equally as capable as men.
Do you remember, how does it feel to be the first woman to challenge misogynistic ideas?
Honestly, great, given my position. If I can sit here and counter people's arguments and, give my point of view, more than glad, honestly.
Would you say you have a little mouth to you?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
What it was like back then, bro?
Well, I can't sit here and imagine what it is like now. I mean,
I have an hour left, so it doesn't matter.
all right. You're right.
Yeah.
Resurrecting kind of.
Yeah, we took a spell and it was like limited time only, so special edition.
Just be glad you have me in front of you, okay? A lot of feminists would die to have me in front of them. Just saying. Stop being hating.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, how do you think you impacted society, like during your time, or like just in general?
I think talking about impactfulness, I think I did a very good job in setting aside a group of women who wanted to stand up for what I stand up for, in the sense that I defended women's rights for many centuries, as long as I could, until my last breath. Even now, with the resurrection, I will always sit here and stand up for, you guys. But I think by impactfulness, I think I was pretty good. I don't think it was that much, but I am proud of the group that I was able to influence so that they were able to become feminist thinkers and challenge the same stereotypes and encourage education the same way that I did.
Good job, gang.
Yeah, because like even today, like all your work is still studied. Like people still look at it, they're like,
And that's the good part of it, because I feel like I haven't been alive for your guys' time, But in my opinion, I think that there's a lot of things that we will always be unbalanced with, like gender roles, stuff like that. I mean, based on the information you guys gave me before this interview, with that little recap, I can sit here and say, like, maybe now it's a little more flexible. Now, you guys have more opportunities and you guys are valued the same way. But I'm pretty sure there are still some flaws in the system and things that, we all disagree with. And that's the thing. We will never all sit here and agree with one thing. We will always be divided. So, yeah, I mean, I'm very glad to hear that. Makes me proud. It makes me feel like I did make an impact on society, the best I could.
yeah, she would have fought for Roe v. Wade. She would have fought for that.
I have no clue what that is, but...
Also another question. In your opinion, like, how did you fit into the Renaissance era, or like, how did you differ from like everybody else, like people who wrote literature, things like that? How did you differ?
Well, I didn't quite make it into the Renaissance era, but I feel like I still fit in the sense that I shared humanist ideas with the world, like the importance of education, dignity and worth of an individual, moral and ethical responsibility, things like that. I also believed in reason, and I think what differs is that a lot of these, people with ideas and stuff was more on the religious side. I stuck to that, trying to stick with God and how to improve society. And I was also seeing like value and morality as the key to life. And I just think at the end of the day, I blended my faith with my humanist ideas. and that's what kind of sets me apart from the rest. You know, I'm not as special as like other poets, other writers, but I like to believe that I did have a good cause.
So again, thank you for coming on the show.
Mm.
Thank you guys for having me.